Good morning, everyone. My name is Jennifer Hutchins. I'm the Executive Director of the Maine Association of Nonprofits. I am just so delighted that you are signing on to join us for our final MANP Connects of 2022. Today is going to be about talking about what inspires us, what keeps us going, and giving all of us one of the favorite things about MANP Connects is learning that there are so many of you across this great state of ours who are people with purpose, people who are committed to a mission that's about strengthening our communities through all kinds of really, really important ways. And so we want to give all of you an opportunity to share with us what inspires you and what keeps you going, given so we've all been through so much over the last few years. And it can be really, really helpful to hear from others where hope comes from, where motivation comes from. And we're hoping to be able to pick up a little bit on that spirit today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I just said that one of my things that keeps me going is true relationships with our sponsors. So I wanted to give more than just the typical thank you to our sponsors who help bring us these programs. I mentioned Devin Dukes, who's a real person who's really committed to all nonprofit missions in Maine, and she works at Whipley, and Whipley is a really great consulting firm that specializes in accounting, but they have all of many other types of management services, and they understand nonprofits. And so I want to encourage you to reach out to Devin Dukes if you have any questions about how Whipley might be useful to you in your work. The other people, and this is one of my favorite things, I now have dueling hot cups from my sponsors. Look at that. Isn't that cute? Look at that. Look at that happy Yeti. So our other sponsor, who is equally as important and special to us, just like Devin at Whipley, is Bill Whitmore at Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare. Just like Devin, Bill deeply cares about the work of nonprofits. First of all, did you know Harvard Pilgrim was a nonprofit? Mm-hmm. And Bill and his team are genuinely committed to doing everything they can to support Maine communities. And so it's really, I really love having genuine relationships with our sponsors that are not transactional, but are relationship based. And I would say Whipley and Harvard Pilgrim are sponsors that are absolutely that way. They're friends of ours. They come to our events. They come to our mixers in the middle of the summer. And so it's really meaningful to us. Thank you to our sponsors. Okay, so what we decided to do is make this a little bit of a open session today. And so I'm going to open the floor to anyone who would like to raise your hand. Kelly's going to help me a little bit because I'm focusing on the screen and making sure that I'm engaging with you guys. So Kelly's going to help me. If you shout out and chat, raise your hand. Is there something you would like to come on for a minute? Because we're going to, not too long. I might have to do little nudges if someone gets a little excited and verbose, because we want to give as many people possibilities to speak as possible. But we'd love to hear from you. So is there anybody? I'm opening the floor. Would anybody like to join me on the screen and give a shout out to something that inspires you, keeps you going, gives you hope?
Jen.
Yes.
I will start.
Yay.
Put myself on the spot. Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Kelly from
Yay.
MANP.
Can we all give a round of applause for Ms. Kelly McCormick, who's done an amazing job with MANP Connects?
We have one more sponsor that I wanted to give a shout out to, and I'm gonna give my shout out to Maine Biz and Allison Nason, and also Renee Cortez, who is a senior writer for Maine Biz. She has made a consistent effort over this past year plus, to include nonprofits in her news pieces and continue to highlight the voices of nonprofit leaders around the state. her work really means a lot to us. And so if you as nonprofits ever have news stories to share or successes, I know Renee would love to hear from you. So it's Renee Cortez at MainBiz. And so shout out to her.
Great. I see that Martha Stein is off, is not muted. I wonder, I'm picking on you,
Oh.
Martha. Do you want to
Oh,
give
sure.
a shout out? I know you're doing amazing things. What gives you
Oh,
hope and
thank you.
inspiration?
And I'm so glad that I finally don't have a meeting this morning, that I can actually be here. Well, I have a few, so you can stop me. My first thing that is just so much in my mind, HopeAx is housing and services for new asylum seekers. And as we are going into our 10th year, the owner of our building is gifting it to us next week. So
Oh, wow.
it is so exciting and very daunting. The building needs a fair amount of work, but we'll get there. But our
Yeah,
dream
the
is
gift
that,
that keeps on giving, right?
yeah, 120-year-old building.
Wow.
But our dream and his dream and desire is that we will be able to somehow leverage our apartment building in creative ways, and we can provide more affordable housing in the future. So that is, it's taken up a ton of time, but that's been huge. Can I do two quick little one more? I want to give a shout out to Victoria Morales, who is stepping down from the legislature, but she's the head of the Quality Housing Coalition and a great partner of ours, doing more tactical and strategic work to end homelessness in this state. And she's a true inspiration and a fabulous partner of ours. And finally, every single person who has come forward during these really dark couple of years and difficult and has just said, I want to help, I want to volunteer, I want to do something, that keeps me going, because there's so much bad stuff out there, and there are so many amazing people in Maine and this community. And the partner list is way too long to mention, but we are so lucky to be doing this work in Maine. And I feel that from the bottom of my heart, even though I'm exhausted and everything else. So thank you.
Thank you, Martha. I completely agree with you. And just to put a finer point on it, so HopeAx is an organization right here in the city of Portland that provides housing to asylum seekers. So that because people arrive here with very few resources, and some of the regulations prohibit them from having the flexibility to provide for themselves in ways that other people do. And HopeAx has really been a significant, I know personally, because my daughter and I have volunteered there in the past. And so I just want to give an extra shout out to HopeAx and all the work that Martha and her team are doing tirelessly, and congratulations on having a permanent home to call your own. That's really great.
Thank you.
And this is great. I'm gonna hang on to that thought. People are posting things in chat, and I'll have Kelly come on later. So if anybody's not screen ready, I'll ask Kelly to come on later and read from the chat box. So you will have your opportunity. But I do want to now hop over. I'm going to put on Nadia. I see your hand up. Why don't we go to you? Would you like to share something now?
Yeah, sure. It's just a really quick thing. Yesterday.
Yeah. Can you introduce yourself and what organization you're with, please?
Yes, Nadia Mullen. I'm the operations director at Democracy Maine, which is a collaboration between Maine Citizens for Clean Elections and the League of Women Voters of Maine. I had somebody in the house yesterday. I work mostly from home, working on putting it in a linen cabinet, and he was like, is this where you work, and what do you do? And I said, well, I work for a nonprofit organization. And he said, you're saving the world. So he didn't know what organization I work for, but his first impression was, you're working for a nonprofit, you're working to save the world. And I just wanted to share that, because that was just such a general positive impression of our field in general. Yeah. And lots of different organizations that are part of of MANP and represented here. And I just thought that was a happy thing to share.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nadia. That is a really happy thing. And I actually wanted to mention that about Victoria, because she has been a tremendous leader. And it's an opportunity for me to remind us all about the really important, I've already mentioned, authentic relationships with our sponsors to the extent that they're open to that. But I also want to say authentic relationships with our legislators and our decision makers. And, you know, Martha's already talked about how we benefit in Maine from the fact that we're really 2 degrees of separation, not 6, right? And sometimes that can be a little inconvenient in the grocery store when you really just want to go in your slippers and you end up running into people. I go anyway in my slippers because it's actually really in. My daughters seem to be wearing their pajamas to school every day. So I've kind of picked up on that. But you know, in Maine, because we all do have an opportunity to really know each other well, we can get to know the people who want nonprofits to be successful. And people like Devin at Whipley and Bill at Harvard Pilgrim and Victoria in the state legislature and many of our other state legislators, they want nonprofits to be successful. So here's my shout out to really genuine relationships with our friends and neighbors and our colleagues in all sectors, our colleagues in other nonprofits who want to do shared learning and connecting, our colleagues in philanthropy and foundations that really want nonprofits to be successful, our colleagues in government, and our colleagues in business. It's so important. Is there somebody else who'd like to join me this morning? Sarah Bronson? Hey! Would you like to give a shout out?
Well, I first say I'm not Sarah Bronson, but
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say, I was like,
yeah, no. So Sarah, my name's Carrie Niederman. I'm new to the board at Riding to the Top, and Sarah.
okay, I'm sorry.
No. My name is listed as Sarah because she gave me the link. So it's no. You're supposed to call me Sarah. But I just wanted to shout out that I'm newly back to Maine, newly on the board at Riding to the Top, and I'm really impressed with this organization and what the resources you have, and look forward to digging in more. So I really thrilled to be part of this group this morning, and shout out to your work and what you provide for support.
Well, thank you, Carrie. And really quickly, can you just tell people Riding to the Top is also a remarkable organization. Can you give us the 15-second mission of Riding to the Top?
Well, that's a great question. So I wish I had it memorized. Hang on.
That's okay. It can be ad lib. I
can actually found it here. So it's changing lives through the healing power of horses. And it is a therapeutic riding center that provides a whole range of support for people of all sort of capacities. And I've gotten involved with it because I think I'm a retired veterinarian, and the beauty of seeing the horse and individual, whether it's a child or adult, being able to navigate in a way that's spectacular, and would love to have any of you come out and get a tour. It's a great place in Wyndham, and doing tremendous, remarkable work, transformative work for children and adults.
Thank you so much, Carrie. I really appreciate you joining us this morning. And Molly, my colleague here at MANP, has just invited all of you to know about our program called Board Explorer. So welcome to Maine, Carrie, and welcome to anyone who's decided to live and work and play in this great state of ours. And we have a program called Board Explorer, where if you want to get engaged in your community as a new person to Maine, a great thing to do is to consider joining the board of a nonprofit. And so I invite you to check out that service. What you can do is you can put your name on a list and find out organizations in Maine that are looking for board members. It is, by the way, board recruitment is the #1 thing after fundraising that our members tell us is a need. And so finding good, committed board members who want to help strengthen Maine communities is a really helpful thing. So I am now going to hop to Jen. Jen McAdoo, your hand is up. Do you want to give a shout out?
Okay. I'm here. Sorry, I didn't realize I had to unmute myself.
Oh, that's okay. Can you give
Yeah.
us? Oh, yes. Oh, wait a minute, Jen, can I come back to you in just a second? Because we just had a very, very special guest pop
Oh.
in. Greetings, Senator King.
Hey, how are you? I'm in the airport, see?
Yes, you're in Washington, DC. And
In
I have
Washington,
to
DC, but
say,
headed home this morning.
Senator, I have to say, I feel like you've just brought MANP Connects to the next level. I mean, I'm feeling a little bit like Ellen DeGeneres or something, and Oprah's just come on for like a special pop-in or
Oh,
something.
come on.
No, I'm not kidding. Like, I have to tell everybody, we asked the senator to see if he'd be willing to join us. And at the last minute, you had to stay in DC later than you expected because he needed to do the work, right? And
Right, we
late.
finished last night at 10:02 was the time.
So, right, the senator had every reason to say, hey, I really think you guys are great, but I'm not going to be able to come because I have to fly home tomorrow morning instead. He insisted to log on and say hi to all of us. How are you?
I'm just fine. It was really funny last night. I ended up closing the Senate, which meant I read all the motions and everything. And we finished at 10:02. And I noticed when we finished that the pages who were there all cheered. And I couldn't figure out what they were cheering about. And it turns out the rule is if they're on duty at the Senate past 10 o'clock, they don't have to go to school the next day. So I thought they were cheering for me, but no, they were cheering. It was like a snow day, they were all excited. But yeah, we finished last night. We got the defense bill passed. We got a continuing resolution in the next week to try to finalize the negotiations on a budget for the rest of the year until next September, which would be really, really good. And so it was a very positive night. We got good votes where there were some mischievous amendments that were defeated. So I feel pretty positive, and I'm at Washington National Airport right now. You can probably hear in the background. And headed home in about, I think we board in about 15 minutes. But I just wanted to call and say, I love you guys. What you're doing, what the nonprofits do. Mary's been very engaged. I used to be on the board of the Nature Conservancy, and what the nonprofits do across the state is so just incredibly important. And I always say, people down here say, why do you love Maine so much? What's different and special? I always say Maine is a big, small town. We know each other. It's a big, small town with very long streets, by the way, but we know each other. We care about each other. We look out for each other. And the nonprofit community is so powerful and vital and engaged in Maine that, that's why I couldn't resist an opportunity to join you. I also should mention one policy thing.
Yes, please
Chuck
do.
Grassley
I wanted to
and
thank you about a couple of things before, if you have time, but go ahead.
Well,
talk
Chuck
about policy.
Grassley and I, Chuck Grassley and I have a bill to deal with this issue of the donor advised funds where money goes to sleep for 50 years.
Mhm.
And to basically say, look, if you have a donor advised fund, it has to go to a working charity within a reasonable period of time. And because a lot of these funds, the money just stays there, and then they pay their their kids or something like big salaries. So we've got a bill. It's not easy. There's opposition, but it's a nice, it's a bipartisan bill with Senator Grassley from Iowa. So we're gonna stick with it, and the whole idea is to get you more money, so that money isn't sitting in funds somewhere and never gets the working charity. So pretty straightforward, and I just wanted to let you know that we're working on that. I can't make any predictions or promises, but I'm going to stick with it.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's something that MANP is following very closely. And when it makes sense in 2023, we want to have a public forum talking about that very issue. So thank you so much. Do you have a minute for me to thank you for the federal relief that's been so important to nonprofits these last couple of years? The last time we met was May 2020, and the CARES Act had just been passed. And then we have benefited from employee retention tax credits, and it's really held us for a couple of years. And I wondered if you wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Well, it wasn't, when the CARES Act was first being negotiated, nonprofits weren't included. We had to make some effort to be sure that nonprofits were included in things like the PPP and employee retention, and it's worked. Whoops, somebody's pulling the shade up here. Anyway, but yeah, and of course it was incredibly important, as you know, to so many organizations in Maine, small and large. So that was part of the project, and I have to say the CARES Act was a monumental piece of legislation. It passed unanimously, which is really amazing. Getting something through the U.S. Senate, we can't agree on what time it is unanimously generally. So that was a big deal. And then followed by the American Rescue Plan, and then the bipartisan infrastructure bill. I have to tell you, this has been the most productive Congress in probably the last 20 years. And a lot of the work has been bipartisan. Most of what you see in public, in the news media is about conflict, people mad at each other. And, I want to tell you that we're getting a lot done on a bipartisan basis. Last night, the votes were generally bipartisan, and I think that's good news. And the other thing I'll share is we don't hate each other. We have very good friends across the aisle, and if you want to check on that, what you should do is watch a Senate vote on C-SPAN, and it looks like the dump on Saturday morning. But what you'll see is a lot of milling around, and most of it is people crossing the aisle and talking to one another and working on projects together. So I just wanted to deliver a little good news this morning.
That's really, really heartening. And that's one of the things I really admire about your leadership, Senator, is that I think in Maine, we really pride ourselves on being willing to understand and listen to other people's opinions. And you're really a model of that for me and for all of us. And thank you so much. Do you have time for me to ask you about one other policy question and what you think about it?
I think we're boarding in about 10 minutes. So
okay.
I know the door's still closed, so go for it.
Okay. So charitable tax deduction. You were mentioning with the CARES Act how we had to get nonprofits included in the PPP, and some of that I have to give a shout out to my colleagues at the National Council of Nonprofits, because they've been really proactive in DC, making sure nonprofits are at the table. And one of the things that Maine and Association of Nonprofits, as well as the National Council, is interested in a universal charitable deduction. And I just wondered what your thoughts were on that as another effort to get more money from people easily into these community-based organizations.
Well, first, I know that contributions generally to charitable organizations are down. I suspect that's because of the pandemic and the inflation and all the pressures that people are under. Hopefully that will come back. The other thing I'll say preliminarily is we have to be sure that we're imbuing our younger people with a charitable ethic. I can remember my dad writing out his check to St. Paul's Episcopal Church every week, and it sinks in. And young people have to understand that there's a kind of unspoken obligation to give back. Now, in terms of the specific universal deduction, I'm not on the finance committee, so I don't have a direct role, but it's something that I'm interested in. And it's very hard to tell what the new Congress is going to look like, how it's going to act. But this is something, you represent a huge constituency across the country. And to the extent that you and your colleagues across the country can communicate, the one thing that works in Washington is when constituents make noise. So I would say keep in touch with us. Alex Porter in my office is my tax guy. He's very,
been a
very good
great
on these
partner.
things. Yeah, he's really good. He's worked with
Really
me
good.
on the donor advised fund issue. So
Mhm.
let's keep in touch on that. We'll
Okay.
see where it goes next year. I'm not on the finance committee, but Ron Wyden, the chair, is one of my best friends in the Senate, and I was just sitting with him last night, as a matter of fact. So let's see what we can make happen, and I think
Great.
it's obviously it's critically important.
Please come up so we can check your bag.
Well, what I often talk about, Senator, especially with those of us up in Maine, we're in the corner of the country. We have 1.3 million of us scattered across a large geography. But what I remind people is we're like the who's of Whoville, right? If government in DC is important, we got to join together and who's of Whoville, and let's make some noise. So thank you for being willing to listen for us on that little pink tuft.
Yeah.
And keep an eye out and an ear out for us. Everybody in the chat is so grateful to you, Senator, for coming on today. This is the type of thing that does give people hope. This little gesture that for you logging on, I know for you, you make it seem so easy and seamless. But I just want you to know how much of a difference it makes. It really brightens people's day.
Wow.
And when there's so many big problems that we want to solve in our communities, it really goes a long way to giving us all hope and motivation. So thank you. Well,
I have a great staff, by the way, who arranged this and sent me the link this morning, and I'm just, it's, the pandemic was a disaster in so many ways, but it did teach us that we could do things like this, that we could link up in ways without long drives and long trips, and it's so great to be able to just spend some time with you. So please, I'll go back to where I began. I love you guys. Thank you for what you're doing for Maine. Keep in touch. We got lots to do, but what you're doing for our Maine community is literally irreplaceable. So thanks a lot. I'm gonna
thank you, Senator.
hopefully
Happy
be in Portland in a
holidays and
couple
Happy New
hours.
Year.
Thanks, Jennifer. See you later.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, Jen McAdoo. I'm so like, I'm in that famous person glow thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Always.
Was that awesome or what?
That was amazing. And he has a certain star power that, how generous of him to join you this morning, or join all of us. That was
join
great.
all of us.
Yeah.
I'm not really all that special. It's all of you.
Well,
He really does. It turned out that today's theme is actually genuine relationships, right?
Yeah.
And he genuinely cares, and it's just really cool. What's your shout out today? We're going to try to get in as many as we can over the next 15 minutes.
I mean, all of the work is inspiring at different levels, but we work with some of the most marginalized people in our communities, and they're who inspire me. People who are just trying to overcome really incredible challenges in their lives on a daily basis. And I see how hard they're working out of care and concern for their families, and just trying to get ahead in the world. So they keep me inspired.
I hear you, Jen. Thank you so much. Michael, you have your hand up. Would you like to jump on?
Yeah, thank you. In this theme of connectedness, I just wanted to add a quick shout out for so I'm with Volunteer Maine, the State Service Commission, that believes that volunteerism is the solution to Maine's most intractable and challenging issues. So what Volunteer Maine does is provide training for managers of volunteers and agencies that use volunteers. We keep the issues in the volunteer sector front and center, and we provide funding to organizations, particularly national service funding, that can help address human resource issues through volunteerism. But in the spirit of connectedness, I just wanted to mention to folks that may not know about it, that every second Tuesday of the month at noon, Kelsey Preeks, our volunteer sector initiatives officer, queen of all things volunteerism, hosts a volunteer managers network meeting via Zoom. And it's a great opportunity for people that work with volunteers, that manage volunteers, that want to learn more, build their skills, etc., or just connect with other people doing the same work, can come together. Often there are presentations that are done by members of the group for each other, and it's just a really unique opportunity.
Thank you, Michael. Yeah, that's great.
And then
Did
the
you
only
have a
other
last-
thing that I just want to mention is
Yeah.
we're also, one of the other things that we offer at no cost to nonprofits is training in how to become service enterprise. So a maximally skilled user of volunteer talent in your organization to meet your mission objectives. We fund that for organizations, and we're going to be building a cohort to do that training for the early spring. And anyone who's interested can also contact Kelsey and get your name on the list. And if you want to know more about it, it's on our website. So I'll just post those two links.
Great. Well, actually, our staff has been posting a lot of the links for you, but that's great. Those
yes,
are really helpful.
and we appreciate that, Jennifer.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that opportunity to collaborate with you guys as well.
Thank you so much, Michael. I really appreciate it. I noticed, I think, Shira, are you coming on today to join us? Shira Patterson, everybody, is the CEO of I'm going to let you say the name, Heart of Maine.
Yes, Heart of Maine United Way,
Yes.
formerly known as the United Way of Eastern Maine.
Yes, and the secretary of the board of the Maine Association of Nonprofits. And I am super grateful for Shira and all of her leadership in nonprofits in Maine. Do you have something you want to share today?
I do. I just thank you for this meeting. Like, being reminded of the things we are grateful for and hearing from Senator King has been an incredible way to start my Friday and be energized. And I just want to shout out to the MANP team. You've been getting some shout outs in the chat, but you are all so incredible. Each and every one of you works so hard for nonprofits in our state. I am so fortunate to have been able to serve on this board, and I have learned so much in my time. And the other thing I want to shout out today is just board volunteers in general across the state. I know some are on the call. I just had an executive committee meeting with my board yesterday, and I just was so grateful for them because they have been so supportive and flexible and allowing us that are working as professionals in nonprofits to become more flexible in our work and being able to be home when we have sick children and still work and all of these different things. It's been a changing time for nonprofits, as we all know, and having great volunteers and donors to support us and stick with us and help us achieve our missions has just been incredible. And so I'm so grateful for that.
Thank you for mentioning that, Shira. It's so true. Back to the idea of authentic relationships. And we're, we are all, when we allow ourselves to touch into the humanity that we all share, great things happen. And so thank you for pointing that out, Shira. I love the MANP board too. So, hey, Katrina, do you have something you want to say? You got your hand up, sister. Katrina Ruffner is our Director of Education. She's on the MANP team, and she's
Yes,
awesome.
I do.
What do you have to say?
Well, I'm listening to all this, and it's so wonderful and so inspiring, and it made me think of, like, there are some unsung heroes that don't always get a shout out, like there's so many nonprofits that are doing direct service, important work, feeding people, sheltering the homeless, all of these things. And sometimes the staff that are behind the scenes that are the glue of our organizations don't always get the cheers that they need. The people that keep the lights on, they process our payrolls, they wow us with financial gymnastics, and they rally support for our missions. They deal with tech issues and they support our boards, and they make staff their number one priority. I am very grateful to the leaders that I have the opportunity to work with in the nonprofit sector who care so much about the people that are helping to deliver on their mission. And I just wanted to give a shout out to them.
That's really great. I really appreciate that, Katrina. It's so true. I'm learning to do a better job of that, of acknowledging people, not just in the nonprofit community, but just out there in the community, who are the people who are keeping our communities working, whether it's the bagger at the grocery store, or, you know, the parking attendant, you know, people who are out there showing up to work every day. And sometimes I forget that my life would be a lot different without them. So just that, it's snowing in Portland, everybody. Yay. I know some of you are like, ugh, but no, we're going to be happy that it's snowing in Maine. Hey, Jenny Cope, you have your hand up. Would you like to hop on and say something about something that inspires you or that motivates you, keeps you going?
Hello.
Hi, or is this Jenny?
Hey, sorry, I'm a newbie at all this, so so I'm still learning it. But hi, yeah, I'm Jenny. I run Give a Dog a Home Rescue up in Sebec, up outside Dover Foxcroft.
Oh, cool.
And like I said, this is the first time, so I'm pretty nervous.
Oh, don't be nervous. This is totally chill. This is totally chill. I'm so glad that you stepped outside your comfort zone. And what would you like to share today?
Well, first of all, I think it's amazing what everybody in nonprofit does, and like the other people have been saying, you know, a lot of the time we're all the unsung heroes, but that's not what we do it for, is it? You know, it's all to help. And I just want to sneak, if I can, if you'll let me. So I run Give a Dog a Home Rescue, which is obviously saving dogs and sometimes cats from the south, and we bring them up to the north and find them homes. But the rescue also does a lot of community programs. We have a pet pantry. We have a low-cost wellness clinic, a mobile clinic where we can go around in our little shuttle bus and do, for any small base. But what we also do is we're an ambassador for the Goods program, which is part of the Greater Goods Charities, the big international charity. And what that involves, the ambassador is kind of a posh word for a distribution center, basically. So we can get truckloads of pallets of dog, cat food, pet supplies, cat litter and all kinds of stuff, which we can then distribute out to nonprofits who, pet pantries or food pantries who have people that have people with pets that need help, or just community, you know, if there's people in the community that know of people are struggling, homeless people, homeless shelters and everything, you know, we can help with that. We do have to pay for it. There is a low cost, but it is like really, really low, and we can always fundraise to help. But we also, they changed it from just pet products to also human products. And it's pretty slow at the minute because it's a new program, and I can only get obviously when I've got space. But I just wanted to ask and let everybody know that I have 22 pallets of hand sanitary wipes, and they're all like individual little packets. If anybody can use hand sanitary wipes, and they're in kind of like distribution boxes, and if it's okay, I'll send you an email with the link of all the information on it all. Those are absolutely free. You know, if you want to use them for yourselves, to hand out for your families, they're literally for anybody. I really need them gone.
Okay, well, thank you, Jenny. That's really great. And we can use the chat right now. If there's anybody who has any ideas for Jenny or wants to connect, that'd be great. Thank you, Jenny, for telling us more about your program and that. We put a link to Greater Good in the chat as well. How did it go? Are you still nervous?
It would be through the rescue. So it'd be the Give a Dog a Home website. I'm sorry, I think I've just eaten a fly.
That's okay.
So it'd be the Give a Dog a Home Rescue website. And then if you go on there, there's like a goods program that you can get the information. There's like an application you've got to fill, because we've got to verify people legit, because that's part of our requirement to the Greater Goods Charities. And everybody understands that. We're all accountable for everything that we get.
Yeah.
But hopefully, if we can connect with people as and when we get new things in, and it's not often because I don't have the storage space for it. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we could get things out to people that are in need, especially the way things are going in the world right now.
Well, thank you so much, Jenny. I'm gonna invite another person so that, because we try to wrap right up at 9:45. I want to get a couple more people in. So, but thank you for letting us know about your work. Simone, What you got? What are you grateful for? What keeps you going?
I'm coming. I wanted to give a shout out to the MANP team. And yesterday we had, I'm lucky to be part of the cohort in the Executive Director Leadership Institute year-long training program.
Yeah.
And we met yesterday, and I just gotta say, I never anticipated how supportive and how much I needed that group, this cohort in this year to kind of lean into as a group, and how much I've gained from being part of that. I've been an executive director for the Consumer Counsel System of Maine for over 11 years. It can be tough work and hard work as an executive director, and having that cohort is incredibly important. And a sub shout out to Katrina, who yesterday we broke up into small groups, and I was in a lonely small group by myself. And she came in and actually gave me a resource I have needed for so long, some leads on a couple of people. So I just wanted to thank you, Katrina. And just grateful that that group exists, and how much, you know, if you get a chance to do it, because it's been incredibly a joy and a learning and a connection that I couldn't get anywhere else. So
thank you
so
much,
guys, for doing that.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. Molly has posted the link for all of you who are curious about what Simone's referring to. It's our once a year, we do a leadership program that there's all kinds of aspects to it. But one of the biggest benefits is having a tight network of other EDs from across the state that you can maintain relationships with. And I just want to also say that if you've been thinking about starting a informal cohort or group of support people who you know who are EDs or something like that, I just want to give you an extra encouraging note. I did that when I came on to MANP 6 years ago, and I invited 5 other people who were executive directors to join a group with me, and we are still quite close friends and colleagues. And it has been, as Simone mentioned, it can sometimes be practically a lifesaver. So just a shout out for that. Mr. Dan Reed, are you still there and willing to give a shout out? Bring us home, sir.
I'm Dan. I'm a board member of the Portland Media Center and head of the marketing committee.
Oh, cool. Portland Media Center. Woohoo.
Yeah, I also work with SCORE, and I'm kind of piggybacking off of something someone said in chat where they were shouting out Tom from SCORE.
Yes.
And I also wanted to shout out
Tom.
my mentor.
Yeah.
What was that?
We love Tom. We work with Tom a lot. He's another great person who genuinely cares about nonprofits. But sorry, you go.
Oh yeah, and I also just wanted to shout out my mentor, Sam Miller, and all the work of people who are leaders in the community and who are willing to kind of help shepherd the next generation of leaders.
Thank you. Dan, can you just tell us really quickly what Portland Media Center, what kind of resources it has available to nonprofits?
Yeah, so we actually have a nonprofit. We have a nonprofit membership where we can provide videos for nonprofits, as well as a little bit of marketing expertise on how to use those videos, and really help people, nonprofits and community members have access to video and public access television.
That's great. Thank you. And MANP has benefited from being a member of the Portland Media Center ourselves. And so I encourage you to check them out. Thank you, Ellie, a member of our team. Hey, I'm gonna ask, is there anybody else on the MANP staff who wants to wrap up with their shout out today? And then we'll get people on their way. But one more from somebody from the MANP staff. Oh, come on, guys.
Nah, we're good.
See, now everybody knows why I'm the one who's always
I'll
on
go
the screen.
again, Jen.
Thank you, Katrina.
We want Molly. We want Molly.
Yeah, exactly.
Woohoo!
Hey, Molly, you just
We're
got a
talking
shout
about. Thanks, Tom.
out.
Jen, I can go.
Great, Katie, Molly, why don't you guys both come on? Let's go. Katie, what are you grateful for?
Well, it's so hard because in my role, I get to meet and interact with so many organizations, and all of you inspire me every day. But I was thinking about this morning, and I want to give a special shout out to the Main Street nonprofits throughout the state. I live in a tiny, tiny town in central Maine. And so I am so inspired every day by Main Street Gardner and Vision Hollowell and the Augusta Downtown Alliance, who have been working so hard the last couple of years to really shine a light and bring together nonprofits and small businesses and community members just to create a sense of community, and also are creating these amazing downtown areas that make it a wonderful place to live. And I know that there's so many other Main Street nonprofits throughout the state and in many of your communities who are probably doing the same.
That's great. Thank you. And people in chat have picked up on that. Main Street. You're absolutely right. Okay, we are at time, and I didn't want to give preference to either sponsor today, so I put coffee in both, but I've run out in both. So it's definitely time to wrap it up. So hopefully you enjoyed our session today. Amazing to hear from so many of you, to be in community with all of you, to have a special guest from Washington, D.C., Senator King. Amazing. He invited all of you to make sure you're reaching out to his staff and letting him know, developing that relationship. Thank you, everybody. I'm grateful for every single one of you contributing to Maine communities. MANP will always be here for you. We will be here to support you. I wish you the very, very best holiday season. Happy New Year. Let's make 2023 the best yet. Take care, everybody. Have a great holiday. Hope to see you in January. Bye.